No, the thumbnail isn't clickbait. After nearly 3 years of mask wearing and people avoiding, I have the vid, as Kevin Hart would say, and honestly, I'm salty about it, but I'm not gonna let it belittle the fact that Anime Expo 2022 was legendary. But not for the reasons you may think. It was the people that I got to experience the con with that made it so epic. Now sit back and relax whilst I regale you with the highlights of this year's Anime Expo, as well as the costs that came with attending. This year was especially special because, as we all know, there hasn't been an Anime Expo since 2019. I took it upon myself to cart everyone around my sock-shaped state, and while my lower back suffered heavily, I wouldn't have traded it for the world. But before we can get to the actual convention, we have to gather the squad: Kizui, Blitz, the who shall not be named, and Ina Q. Yes, there was in fact a day -1, but we kicked it off the night before, making sure my car was clean, vacuumed, and then I gave up my left kidney for a full tank of gas. Now, something important that I've yet to mention is that whenever I pick someone up from the airport, I make a special and custom sign to help them find me amongst all the chaos. And in this instance, there are 4 people that get to experience this pleasure, / honor even. Unfortunately, I don't have footage of Kizui getting picked up at the airport because I didn't know at the time whether or not she wanted to be vlogged, but the interaction went something like this. I need a fake phone. Uno. Hey, I'm driving by Terminal 1. Where are you at? I'm walking around outside right now by pillar G4, I think? Bet I'm by pillar G2. I made a sign specifically catered towards you. You'll know it when you see it. I'm gonna pull over to the side. Look for a green car, a dark green car. I saw a black car pull to the side. I thought it was you, but I think that's me. I see you. It's not black, it's dark green. Don't you see the sign? What are you talking about? Tea kettle? It was then that I parked, I got our luggage in the car, and then we booked to the Krispy Kreme because somehow she's never had it before. After we fueled up on donuts, we headed back to the airport to wait for Blitz, Nagisa, and Lich.
Oh, you know. Yo, film that, hold it.
Yeah.
I have been waiting.
Now, I know I said 4 earlier, but I'm counting Nagisa and Lich together with Blitz, mainly because Nagisa beat the ever-living crap out of me with a Cramorant, and I still haven't gotten over it. Once we acquired those 3 after waiting for an hour and a half, thanks for getting the wrong baggage claim, Blitz, I, the resident Californian, took them to the best and finest eating establishment on this side of the continent, In-N-Out.
You ready to lose your In-N-Out virginity?
After they were done scraping their brain matter off the walls from the mind-blowing experience that is animal fries, we went ahead, packed into the car again, and went to check in at Blitz's hotel.
Looking good. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, you gotta do the pulse. You gotta do the pulse, right, for?
Yeah.
After a mini fashion show, we decided to go and hang out at Little Tokyo to explore and kill time before picking up the Forbidden One. After exploring Little Tokyo and people opening up new credit cards to compensate for the amount of money they spent, we went back to Blitz's hotel, dropped off Lich and Nagisa, and went to go pick up a certain green individual.
Oh boy.
Hey, you
The Krispy Kreme challenge originated in my state. You know?
Yes. What do you have to say?
Pleasure to see you again since you're driving and you have my life in your hands. I appreciate you.
Lettuce, how was your flight? No, it's still on.
How was my flight?
Yeah, how was your flight?
I watched a show about a guy cooking meth. What the?
Once we obtained cabbage, I went and carted everyone off to their respective lodgings and took myself home. I may have passed out as soon as my head hit the pillow, but that is 3 people down and 1 to go. The day before the convention. If you're anything like me, you planned in advance to go to this convention and pulled a pro gamer move, having your badge mailed to you. In con speedrunning terms, this is called the mail skip, where you get your badge mailed to you in order to avoid waiting 2+ hours in line the day before in order to get your dang badge. However, my dear and short friend Ina decided to come relatively last minute, and because of this, she could not get her badge mailed to her.
Hi there.
Trash Connect.
Welcome in.
Excuse me.
Yeah, it's true. It's accurate.
I'll fight you. I'm gonna redeem myself, I swear.
Alrighty.
Because she wasn't able to get her badge mailed to her, she had to wait in said awful, despicable, horrible line. And because she's the 4th person on my list to pick up who also doesn't have a car, guess who had to...
Nah, we're good. My TikTok likes.
On the bright side, we met up with Evanito in line. We also met our friends Lopi and Ho for the first time, and we ultimately only stayed in line for like 45 minutes. But wouldn't it be quirky if there was a second line where we had to pick up proof of vaccination? After standing in line for what felt like centuries, we met up with the rest of our party and went to go hang out in Earthly's hotel room. Somewhere along the way, we met up with the Spilling the Milk crew, who for some reason they were all obsessed with this one Minion mural, which was only a short walk away from the convention center. Alrighty, the plan was simple. Get a reservation for 25 people at Korean Korean barbecue. We trusted the two Chicago people, Ina and Keesley, to go ahead and make a reservation, and ultimately they successfully got us one. Little did we know, because they're both Chicagoans, they accidentally may have booked us a reservation in Illinois. So we did the only logical thing and started panic calling every Korean barbecue place in the area in order to avoid sending people to a mysterious and lost place all the way in Illinois, Chicago. Luckily, the first place that I rang not only had 0 reservation fee, but could also fit all the people we invited in the time that we had allotted earlier. And, as an added bonus, it was right next to Little Tokyo.
No, like, yo, so like, no. Tell us how you feel about these prices.
They're ridiculous.
Bro, tell us how this feels. Go, reveal the menu here.
So I had to sign away my firstborn child.
Paimon, tell us the real reason why we don't have Primogens.
What is it like being emergency food?
Like, please.
Crazy. You have a bunch of people wanting to constantly eat you out for no reason.
We have real life Aether here, so like, can you please tell us?
What is that? He actually gets it.
Bro, he's on grinder. Bro.
Once everyone was done eating, most of us decided to head to Round 1, a relatively well-known arcade chain, and stayed up a tad later than expected trying to get into a karaoke room that didn't respect our reservation. Thanks, Tat. First day of the convention, we were all exhausted.
We didn't wait 2 hours to not do karaoke.
But that didn't stop us from cosplaying and being extremely excited to finally get to go to AX. We needed some groceries though, because we were staying at Ray's place and unfortunately it didn't come with complimentary breakfast. So here's a montage of Gyu Tomioka at Walmart.
I got the back of this wet for this shot. Yes. It was all worth it. Oh, that's
He be looking drippy.
I'm literally
He be looking drippy.
Once we were all packed and ready to go, we started the hour-long trek towards massive amounts of traffic and extraordinarily expensive parking. Did I forget my badge and we had to turn around as soon as we left? Maybe, but you can't prove anything. When we got to the convention center, the only parking that we could find was $50. What do I look like, a United States Mint? After being practically robbed at gunpoint, we split up initially because Ray needed to go use the bathroom and the rest of the party wanted to go wait in line to get into the convention center. We eventually all got inside and met up after like 30 minutes of frantically searching for each other. Once we finally arrived at the convention, it was magical. Weebs all living in harmony, cosplayers, vloggers, and photographers galore, even a giant Luffy statue. It was beautiful. And then it got really unmagical really quickly. I was dripping, not just because of the cosplay, but because I was sweating my balls off. I was sweating my balls off immediately due to the massive amount of people they managed to pack into the godforsaken convention center. I have never sweat through a shirt like that in my entire life. Not only that, but we had just sat through an hour of traffic to then go and walk through traffic at the damned convention. How there was this tweet going around saying that the fire marshal wasn't letting anybody else in because of the sheer amount of bodies they managed to sardine into the damn center. After fighting around the exhibit hall for a bit, I got a call from my dad saying that his back was acting up and that he'd appreciate it if I took my brother around to go and shop. They were attending separately because I was staying with the homies at Ray's place. After swimming my way through the sea of people to where they were and then clawing my way back to my friends, my little brother was introduced to my group of friends for the first time. And what did he do? He decided to roast the shit out of Blitz right off the bat, and I am all here for it. He ended up buying a kilo of Funko Pop and a sword from Demon Slayer. After getting recognized by a group of old friends and dropping my brother off with my dad, we wriggled around the exhibit hall a bit more, saw some more was a bit underwhelmed, and decided to go meet up with everyone at CPK. Everybody who was 21 and over, which I'm only 20, sadly, decided to go to a rave, and so Blitz and I decided to head back to the house to meet up with the legendary man himself, Starfunk, who then promptly began to beat my ass in some Super Smash Brothers.
Anime Expo Day 2! This is the wrong direction, it's that way.
The next day, I learned from my previous mistakes and cosplayed my interpretation of a man who can survive in the desert for an entire month. Before leaving this time around, some of us got matching tattoos, which were pretty swanky if I do say so myself.
Look at us tatted.
Yo. Of course, Lettuce, aka Zenitsu, would have it upside down.
For real, for real.
Did we have to turn around again after leaving because I forgot my camera? Maybe, but again, you can't prove anything. Our objective this time around was to explore the Artist Alley. After getting legally robbed for the second time, we decided to learn from the previous day and set up a time and meeting spot for all of us to go and split up and kind of do our own thing for a bit. As the tallest, or maybe second tallest, I don't know, person in the group, I enjoyed the opportunity to stretch my legs and not have to worry about the borderline Smurfs behind me who took maybe 2 to 3 steps per second. It was much easier to move around the artist alley as compared to the exhibit hall. It was still full of people rubbernecking, moving 2 miles an hour, and spending absurd amounts of money on absolutely gorgeous prints. Eventually though, I ran into a familiar, short, and slightly judgmental member of my party, Ina. I could eat a Kit Kat however I please, goddammit. We went around looking for art for my new dorm room and for her ever-growing collection. Don't ask me what she does with her art, I have no idea, and honestly, I don't know if I want to know. We spent around an hour talking and walking around taking in the glorious displays of our favorite characters and spending just enough money to barely survive after the end of the con. As we got closer and closer to the meeting time, Ina was telling me about how she needed to buy an Anya keychain for a friend of hers. And dear God, this story makes the Goldilocks fairy tale look like a walk in the park. Every single Anya keychain that we encountered was too big, which in retrospect boosted the hell out of my confidence, but at the time made me want to barrel roll out of a moving car going 80 on the interstate. Finally, we eventually circled all the way around, going through maybe 3 or 4 football length aisles to the first keychain that we had seen at the start of this adventure. And this, my friends, is how a single man has managed to relate to all of those boyfriends who wait in the mall for hours waiting for their girlfriends to finish shopping. Forever alone. To be honest though, it was really fun going around and hanging out with her, so it was cool, don't worry about it. After we finally met up with the group, we left the convention to meet up with Earthly and Company. At Earthly's hotel room, we actually met the English voice actor for Natsuki Subaru, that and another cool dude named Exo first. Everyone took shots, except for me of course, because I had to drive everyone home, but before that we were all starving and we decided to go to Chick-fil-A. After we were filled up on chicken, we said goodbye to those who weren't coming with us, went back to the house and started planning the party that we hosted the next day. I'm gonna be real, we didn't go to the con for the remaining 2 days, mainly because we were all convention out. I know a handful of us wanted to go and see maybe 1 or 2 more things, but it wasn't worth it to us to go through the parking, the traffic, the people, all that other madness for like 1 or 2 panels. The problems that I experienced with Anime Expo this year are kind of the same as the last time that I attended. It was disorganized, and they allowed far too many people to attend this time around. Not to mention that at one point, they just stopped checking for vaccination completely. They had boxes of the golden wristbands that we had and were just handing them out to people coming into the con center. For reasons like guest experience and, I don't know, safety, I feel like cutting corners like that was not a wise decision. And that is probably why I got COVID, even though I wore a mask and was relatively responsible for the duration of the con. Lines to get into different panels had people constantly going in and out of them. There weren't any designated walkways, so there were people just congregating and standing in the middle of halls and areas, and it was just really hard to move anywhere. There weren't many places to stop and rest either. My poor dad could barely find a bench when his back was giving him trouble, and if you tried to sit on the floor out of the way from a lot of the foot traffic, you would usually get shooed away from the staff to try and attempt to get the traffic flowing better, which sounds like complete BS to me. It was hot with minimal access to water if you didn't already have a water bottle with you, and because all the vending machines were empty, you couldn't purchase one to reuse either. Not only that, but it felt like every major event that the general public would want to and should be able to attend was ticketed. So not only are they going to get you for $150 for a 4-day pass, but then you also have to pay extra for the stuff you came to see. Doesn't make any damn sense. Overall, including the pass, I spent around $650 at the convention, which isn't horrible considering I live here, but gas and other stuff is extraordinarily expensive, and it definitely didn't help that we ate out a lot. Overall, the con wasn't bad, but I have definitely been to other smaller and larger conventions that were better organized and that I had a better overall experience attending. But even with all of those things working against it, I still really enjoyed the con. I got some baller-ass artwork, I got to meet some awesome people for the first time in person, and I made some amazing memories with friends that I will treasure for the rest of my life. After the party that I mentioned earlier, which was pretty damn baller by the way, we unfortunately had to say our goodbyes. Ina was leaving extraordinarily early in the morning, so we got to exchange words the night before, but when it came to saying goodbye to Kizui, Lettuce, and Blitz, it was rough because I had to hug them and then go and bawl my eyes out on the freeway home. And to everyone else who I either briefly mentioned or didn't mention at all, Hiding, Eden, Jack, Core, Evan, I already mentioned, Lopi and Ho, you guys were awesome. I got to meet Rustage, Ginkgo, Heart, all sorts of other phenomenal, amazing people. Nagisa, Lich, all of you, thank you so much for making this year phenomenal, and I can't wait to see you at the next convention, or even just hanging out on Discord. I think this is one of the hardest experiences, or hardest goodbyes that I've had to go through, because I know it's going to be a while before I can see them again. But even so, I know that when we do eventually meet again, it's going to be legendary. I can feel it. Too big, too big, too big, too big.